Hello and welcome to week 2 of Cultural Diversity. I hope you're enjoying the course so far. My name is Dr. Shepard Jones and I'm going to be providing a very brief overview of Latinos this week, and you'll have a great deal of course materials and additional video to help supplement that as well. An important point so far in the course is that while there are many things that bring us together as communities, there are facets that make us all unique and diverse. The way that we identify with the different facets of our background, our race, our ethnicity, our religion or spirituality, our disabilities, our gender, our socioeconomic status, and even our generation help to make us who we are. It's really important to always keep in mind in this course that we are using some generalities. We don't want to stereotype or pigeonhole anyone, but we want to share some possibilities that might help provide better interactions and communication, and an understanding of some of the basic principles of diversity help us to do that. So this week we will be talking about Latinos and Latinas. One quick note here, some of the materials that I'm drawing from today are referenced by a project here at the University of Kentucky, which is the Migrant Farm Workers with Disabilities Employment Partnership. And the website is available to you in this week's course materials, so please review it when you can. Now back to the presentation. The Latino is considered the masculine and Latina the feminine. We could also have titled this week Hispanic Culture. Let's take a moment to discuss. Did you know that the term Hispanic comes from the word Hispania? This is the Spanish term for the cultural diaspora, or scattering of people away from an established ancestral homeland. So this is not seen as a positive term by everyone. Latino includes Spanish speakers of Spain and the native populations of Native America. What actually is preferred above Latino or Hispanic is often identification by the country of origin. However, if you're uncertain, listen to how the person identifies him or herself. Or you can ask. So now the question comes of what race is someone who is Latino. It is important to remember that Latino or Hispanic is an ethnicity. It is not a race. A person who is Hispanic can be black, white, Asian. Let's talk about the U.S. population. Since we're using census estimates, I'll use the term Hispanic for this slide, but I hope you see that I'm using both terms in this presentation. There were 35.3 million Hispanics counted in the U.S. Census in the year 2000, or 12.5% of the U.S. population. In 2005, that number rose to 41.3 million. In 2010, there were 50.5 million Hispanics, or 16% of the U.S. population. Any thoughts about these statistics? Well, they are underestimates. And here's an interesting tidbit. 75% of those completing the census speak Spanish at home. Spanish is the second most spoken language at home in the U.S., behind English. Here's a little bit of information on poverty and Latinos. Again, I'm using statistics here based on governmental figures, so I'll use the term Hispanic. This is 2003 data that indicates 22.6% of Hispanics live in poverty and are less likely to own a home than any other minority group. They're more likely to rent at their residence. If we look at the net worth for Hispanic families, the median was $9,750 versus white non-Hispanic families at $79,400. This is a huge and startling discrepancy. Why do these startling differences exist? There may be issues around language differences, legal status, discrimination, lack of culturally competent financial education and outreach. We know that Latinos are starting new enterprises at 3 times the national average. However, Latino workers are also largely overrepresented in employment types of manual labor jobs and service-related jobs. On the flip side of that, we find far fewer Latino workers in management or professional jobs. Because we know that diversity isn't just about ethnicity, race, etc., but is about the intersections of the different components of diversity, let's talk a minute about disability for people who are Latino. We find that Latinos with disabilities are at a disadvantage versus others with disabilities in terms of having lower income, less education, being in poorer health, and having less access to needed services. Why is this? Well, we go back to some of the things we've talked about. Low income, being employed in jobs that have higher risk, of not having health insurance, and of not being assessed with culturally competent assessments. And of particular interest for the field of rehabilitation counseling, less likely to have a case with state vocational rehabilitation close successfully. And you've got some readings this week from the Journal of Applied Rehabilitation Counseling that addresses some of the barriers. I want to share a resource with you called Proyecto Visión. It's a project that is funded by the World Institute on Disability, and it is aimed at employment for Latinos with disabilities. It is a bilingual website, and I encourage you to visit it. Proyecto Visión also hosts employment conferences and seeks to develop partnerships to help organizations to better serve Latino consumers who have disabilities. It's an excellent website, so write this one down, review it, and keep it. This week you have a nice opportunity to view specifics in counseling Latinos. In these vignettes, you'll see interactions involving at least one communicator who is Latino. Please review these vignettes next. I know there is mention of a learning guide, but I want you to read the Latino culture learning points while you review the video. Think about where communication problems are happening and where communication is working well. Enjoy and have a good rest of the week.